Aloha. This is take two, actually. I started recording earlier before I went and ran with Bubba and realized that it said your internet connection is bad, and I was talking to the computer and it wasn't recording. So I deleted it, and now I'm back. So still learning about YouTube. The topic for episode 9 is family resiliency, and there's going to be in two parts. The second part, I'm going to actually dive into what the Army considers it. This first episode is really just a little bit something different in my take on it. And Amber's actually going to join me for that one because as we talk about soldiers and families and our experience and what we've learned and some kind of techniques that have worked in command and on staff, having deployed multiple times and almost 4 years in combat, there's lots of things we learned through things that went well, some that didn't, at every echelon, and just kind of how we've continued to build into investing in people, which is our most precious resource. And we want to build into their lives to continue to help them grow as leaders, so they can continue to lead in their families and their homes. Obviously in the Army for as long as they choose to serve, but also as they transition out to the community, either through just that into service timeline or retirement. It's all goodness when you can invest into other people's lives. So part of, in my opinion, especially as this has been something that's been motivating and inspiring to me throughout my whole life, really. But through all the challenges that come with the military, leading, deploying in combat, and just doing this for 30 some odd years, is being able to tell the story of your family and growing from lessons of faith and resilience and grit, from hopefully, family members that have just faced challenges in life and have learned to walk through it. And I don't think our story in the Spring family is special or more special than anybody else's, but it's definitely special to our family and special to me, because I have drawn on the stories and lives of family members and what they've been through to help inspire me to keep pushing in setbacks and failures, injuries, and just mistakes that I've made personally, in order to rally back and trust God and just continue to grow in my faith and my family and professionally as a leader. Because believe it or not, we all make mistakes. So I wanted to talk through a couple of my heroes and how we have chosen to tell the story, recognize and acknowledge their grit and resiliency, because they truly are heroes to me, in every sense of the word, although other people outside of our family may not know them, but it means a lot to us. The first, and the way I usually introduce it in talking to organizations or the Army, is talking through my personal vision, which I started developing and revisiting back in 2010, and then it's continued to evolve at each level that I've led, and I try to at least revisit it once a year. I will post it onto the post portion of YouTube as soon as I can figure out how to get the image right, because I still can't figure that out. But I tell the story in images, and this is the essentially, sorry, I'm really bad at doing this, what it looks like, and that's my vision statement. I'll read it to you, and I'll kind of describe the pictures to you. To protect this nation and my family by living a life of faith, character, and values, so that others are inspired to serve the nation. Build and lead high-performing teams. Together, we will defend freedom. And although I suck at showing photos on YouTube, trying to go backwards in the video, I talk it around this way through my family, which is the foundation of it, my faith, which is the center of it, and then the soldiers that I've led in the past and the organization that I'm a part of now. And that helps me introduce myself to an organization and hopefully help draw out and be able to talk to folks about what inspires them, why they serve, why they joined, and just get to know people better. and break down some of those barriers that we encounter as leaders when they see you up there as whatever rank you are, as opposed to a human being that's lived a life all the way up until that point. You're not just a dude playing a dude playing a dude. The first person that I put on there, and I usually talk about, this chubby little kid right here, is me in my sweet polyester leisure chute, sitting on my grandpa Sprang's lap. And my dad and his parents were immigrants to this country back in the 50s. But prior to that, as a young man in the Netherlands, my grandfather was arrested by the Gestapo during World War II for posting a derogatory poem about Nazis in a restaurant. And then he was subsequently shipped out to multiple prison camps, and across at least one in Germany, and then in Poland. Then, from what we can gather from the research and his personal account, from a sub camp of Auschwitz, he was liberated in 1945 by Russians. So that in and of itself is amazing to hear that story, and a video of him describing kind of some of the experiences of what that was like, seeing Jews being persecuted, trying to smuggle food into them as a prisoner himself, and just living through that. After being released, he ended up meeting our grandmother in Switzerland. That's where my dad was born. And then eventually they matriculated to France, where they were able to work around the clock and eventually get passage to the United States, where they came in through Ellis Island. And a couple of the ways that we help tell that story and plan to pass that along are, my Aunt Chris put together this book, which has a lot of all the copies of the documents that they came over on. And then inside this case, which has got a glass cover, kind of heavy, is an heirloom, a couple heirlooms that we have as a family. Is a card for a prisoner from a Nazi prison camp, and a book that was published, written in English, in multiple languages, that hallmarks the different prison camps, and was published, I believe, by Israeli organization. But my grandfather went through and marked pictures of the camps that he was held in. And we keep that on a shelf in our living room so we can continue to tell folks a story and talk about how his faith and resiliency in God brought him through that. And then I took the documents that Aunt Chris provided, and then we had it framed. This is the shipping documents that show the manifest, the timelines in May of, I want to say 1953. They came in through Ellis Island. It's got the shipping number where the ship captain signed it, and then it's got the overall manifest of how they came, and then here's their names listed. For my grandfather Harry, he was 28 at the time. Grandmother Anita was 28, and my dad Bernard, listed here, was 5. So they faced obviously a lot of challenges just being able to get to this country. They knew they wanted to be free. They knew about America, and they wanted to get my dad here. And then after they arrived here, faced a lot of challenges that a lot of immigrants face in trying to assimilate into society, find jobs, provide for their families. They ended up having 2 other children, 2 daughters, Chris and Gabe. And it's just an awesome story of a family that was willing to sacrifice, that loved each other, came to America and worked hard. My grandfather worked as a painter. My dad took on that tradition after he got out of the Air Force. He served from 68 to 72, and then started a family, and then started eventually going into a painting business that he's ran really without advertising and mostly by himself with a few employees here and there, just based on the quality of his work and his character, which is amazing. And then from there, I did have a picture that I show of that book, and then this is actually a photo that we have of my parents, which are two of my other family heroes for sure that I highlight. Obviously, they dealt with me for 18 years, which is a miracle in and of itself, because I was not a good kid. But like I mentioned, my dad grew up. He joined the Air Force, served for 4 years, came back and was in the process of getting out of the Air Force in Wichita, Kansas. And my mom grew up there in a very large family of 9 kids. And she married her high school sweetheart and had my older sister, Stephanie. And he was pulled into Vietnam. And when he went there as a member of the 101st Airborne Division as an infantryman, was killed. And she was widowed with a child, a Gold Star widow. My dad and her ended up meeting, and they got married. And then that started their journey into, initially it was Bible college, working to be a part of deaf ministries and other things. That didn't work out. They kept having kids. Kids are expensive. And then that's when my dad started working the paint company. He probably has a different story. I need to interview him better, to be honest. But that's the general gist of it. And then obviously the rest of the pictures are our family, Amber and the girls. And I talk about the challenges that we face, and we'll cover that in a later episode of, the weight families have to bear in the military is very heavy. Kids obviously aren't volunteering for it. And the spouses, in large part, probably don't know what they're getting into, but it's hard work, giving up a career often because you're moving and investing and loving families in the Army, and obviously you're a soldier going through the same challenges of having a family member deployed, and continuing to serve is a hard choice, and it's a family choice for us every time. And obviously the nuance of this current situation over the last couple of months of the world getting flipped upside down a little bit, not deploying, staying here, having very rare cancer, and continuing to contribute and love and support each other through those challenges. In our family, our extended family, our church family, and obviously our Army family, which we consider the people we serve with a part of our family. And if you're in uniform, sorry, I'm like that ugly brother that nobody talks about. And then another part of the challenges, obviously, my family has faced. I have 2 older sisters. I'm the middle child. So, yeah, no shock there. If you know me, I'm definitely a typical middle child. And then I have a younger brother and sister. And February, I think it's 24. My parents were here visiting, and my mom started feeling poorly, and we noticed that her skin was getting jaundiced, and she was struggling with energy. They ended their trip early and went back to Kansas City and straight back into hospital. And she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, which started a very long journey and a painful journey for them, because that is much rougher on the body when it comes to the surgery associated with it. If you know that versus like what I'm going through with a right colectomy is like child's play compared to a Whipple procedure on your pancreas. She went through the surgery. She was in the process. That is a more common cancer. So there are clinical trials, and was enrolled in one that was going to be a vaccine-related treatment for pancreatic cancer. And in the process of being screened post-surgery, they identified, and the scan that was related to that, thankfully, identified early that it had metastasized and that she had terminal cancer and moved into her lungs. So although she was unable to be a part of that program. That program, at least screening her, helped them identify that early. And she is thankfully continued strong under chemo, which is encouraging and motivating for me. Although it's not the same type of chemo protocols that I'm using. She has been on chemo now for the better part of, I don't know, it's over a year, and continuing to thrive. And that's amazing to me, especially at her age, which I'm not going to share because we don't do that with ladies. So I think in sharing that, whether it's internally in your family, and one of the things I found so encouraging about the conference that we had at our church last weekend is that you can hear a lot of people talk about resiliency. You can hear a lot of people talk about their faith, but when you hear their story of the challenges they face with loss of loved ones, their spouses, their children, diagnoses of cancer and other illnesses, and just life, it makes it very real when you can see that in the challenges that you face, that God can bring you through that too. And it helps to hear that testimony. It just reinforces and encourages what you're reading in the Bible and praying about. So that in and of itself is a critical component to resiliency in the spiritual realm and environmental or behavioral health. So psychologically, giving you the inspiration you need to fight when you feel like you don't have another step or breath in you, and just being encouraged internally in your own family, the people that you love, that raise you, that love you unconditionally. This life is not one of rainbows and happily ever afters. It's hard stuff, and you need to know that you can do it. You need to know that other people have done it, and when your loved ones walk through it with you, obviously are praying for you, it's inspiring. It fills you with joy. And we're all kind of broken clay pots or broken things put together, and God uses that, and that light shining through all those cracks in our lives, their lives, back into us, continues to fill us with the energy we need and the motivation to keep trusting, praying, and taking one step at a time, one breath at a time in some instances. So that's how I draw from that, and I encourage and try to create as a leader that we are a big family. The Army is people, and we need people that will care for other people enough to know them, to help them, to get them the help they need, to know those resources, and point people in the right direction, come alongside them before crisis and in crisis and after crisis, to develop a culture of trust and caring. Because when you do that, the end goal is taking care of people. Army doctrine kind of shifts, and it talks a lot about the efficiency and effectiveness of the organization, which is true, but that's a byproduct of taking care of people. And it is a goal we need to get to professionally, but it's not like I'm not just taking care of you because I need you to perform. I'm taking care of you because you deserve it. We love you. We care for you. We want you to have the best in the military, in life, in your family, in your faith, and physically and emotionally, health-wise. And when that is done, the organization is going to thrive. They will trust and build into that culture in a way that you can't keep up with. They will outperform your expectations every time when you take care of people. Have instances, and I can share stories ad nauseum probably, of where I've failed to do that, and also where we succeeded and where young leaders have succeeded, and especially the non-commissioned officers that I've served with. The amount of care that they put into the organization is blown me away every time. And they're constantly teaching me through their conduct, their words, and how they care for others, how to do it better every time. And I'm constantly trying to grow in that. And by far, the reason, obviously, family resiliency means a ton to me because I love my family. I love our history. But honestly, as a man, as a professional, I have struggled in doing the right thing and maintaining the priorities most. And obviously that hurts the people you love the most more than anything else. So establishing a growth plan for that, even in this diagnosis in cancer, has been a paramount priority. Holding myself accountable to Amber, the girls, other people that I trust to do that with, and just keep trying, failing forward, and doing what I can with whatever life I have left. And that's really all we can do. So suck the marrow out of the bone of life, seeds a day, whatever cheesy phrase you need. God built us to take care, to serve Him and bring Him glory, and love Him and love our families and those around us, even those that don't agree with us. And I'll close on one quick note. This is out of my devotions today, and what I was reading in 1 Timothy 3. I thought it was pretty fitting as I have continued to battle back and battle some of the disappointments of the challenges of physical resiliency, which has been a cornerstone of my mental health and kind of my well-being. Today, Bubba and I ran a mile. What do you call it? Jog. We jogged a mile, which was amazing. It felt great. He's still learning the leash, which is hilarious and distracting from me breathing hard and running super slow, but still a good deal. In 1 Timothy 3, and I forgot to mark it. Here we go. Physical training is good, but training for godliness is much better, promising benefits in this life and the life to come. Correction, that's 1 Timothy 4, verse 9. 8. And then verse 9 and 10. This is a trustworthy saying, and everyone should accept it. This is why we work hard and continue to struggle, for our hope is in the living God, who is the Savior of all people, and particularly of all believers. So continue to work in the discipline and growth. If God isn't done with you yet, you don't need to give up. Just keep working through it. Him working through you will help your growth and hopefully be a light to others. See you in the next episode as we talk Army life, happy wife, and how to take care of families. Bye.
What's up, homie? Hey.